Hello everyone, this is Esther Camacho and welcome to another Quarantine Genealogy. We are going to be discussing Hispanic Death Records. When you are looking at records, Hispanic Death Records or records from Mexico, you are going to be looking at two different types of records. The civil registration, which are the government records, and the church records. Now, the civil registration started around 1860. That is when the government required that everybody be recorded, because you did have the Catholic Church and you had the government agency, so you're going to actually have two different records. Now, when you're looking at this is an example of a modern day death record. You're going to have the top portion, which is going to be recording the folio number, the acta number, and the date it was registered. The second portion is about the deceased. So you've got her name, her age, that she was viewed, that means she was a widow, where she was from, and lists her husband and her parents' name. Note off to the right of that, it's of the parents and her husband, says Fanido or Fanida. That means they are already deceased. So immediately, if I am writing a family group sheet about this individual, I will write her name and her husband's name, and I would say for him that he died before 1985. Her parents, same thing, died before 1985. I would immediately record that so that you're not wondering when they died, you already have it down. And I would always make a note saying this information was found on her death certificate. The other portion is about the death itself. It says she's going to be buried. It names the cemetery. It also gives you the date of death and the time of death, where it happened, and the cause of death. And then the last, of course, is the name of the doctor recording this, that's certifying the death. The last portion, you have a declarant, is the person that is reporting this death. And then you have the witnesses. And you'll have some brief information about them, their age, where they're from, whether they're related or not. It's all included in there. And of course, the last portion is the signatures. Now, when you're looking at, now that was 1985, now we're looking at an 1883 death certificate. This is a civil registration death record. You have the record number. This is numeral 10, number 10. The reporting person, this is the declarant, the one that's reporting the death of this person, and the name of the deceased. What's great about this record is that you have information on the margin, which makes it easy to search through these images when you have information on the margin, versus you're going to have to look at the document at each record at a time. So this makes it a little bit quicker. Basic same information in the writing, who the reporting person was, how old they were, when this person died, and just so forth. And of course, at the end, it does list the witnesses as well. Now we're going to look at church death records. Now remember that they are the original recorders in New Spain, and they started around 1520, and of course they're still doing it today. Now, the church records are a little bit different. You still have a record number, and you have the name of the deceased. Now, in there, it does have the person's name in there. It actually says where this person is from. It also says it left a widow, and it gives her name, Ana Maria Flores. That was the wife. And what's great, it says on here, he left 5 children. And then mayores, that means these are older children. These could be teens or these could be adults. And it does say why he died. And it gives the actual date of death in there. And it happened in Matamoros, and it wasn't in this other location. And this is another example of a death record where you still have the name of the deceased in the margin, and you have the class. Now remember, in Mexico you had classes, and so this person was, his name was Nicolas de la Serna. He was a well-known captain. He was an explorer, and then he was Espanol. This has happened in 1693, and it says he died rapidly. So he could have had a heart attack. It doesn't say that he was killed, but that he died suddenly. So I'm assuming it was probably a heart attack. Now this one's a little bit challenging. Now this is 1800. This was in Santa de Jimenez. You're going to see records in all different types of conditions, some with a lot of information and some with very little. At least this one is written very neatly. You've got the month on top, which is Marzo, which is March. And then off to the side on the margin, you've got Barbulan, which means a child. Because you're going to see that quite often. It took me a long time to figure that out. That is a child. And it gives the day that this was on March the 14th. And unfortunately, for this one, it doesn't even list the name of the child. So this is kind of common that you'll see when they say Barbulan, and then it's going to say a child that's buried in the cemetery. You've got an adult here on April the 14th. I'm sorry, that's the 15th. And the name of the adult, and of course it's just Juana Rodriguez, and buried in the cemetery. That's all the information that you have. So I hope you enjoyed that brief information about death records. There are a lot out there, so some of them can be very challenging. Some of them have a wealth of information, so good luck exploring. Do visit my subject guide. And again, you go to McAllenLibrary.net, go to Books and More, go to Subject Guides, and just look for Genealogy. Once you're there, you can go in there and visit the tabs. I do have a Hispanic Resource tab, which constantly gets updated. And of course, you can always email me if you have a question. So thanks for watching. And make sure to leave a public comment below and like us on Facebook. So hope to see you soon on another episode of Quarantine Genealogy. Have a good day. Bye.